You got holes in your roster. Don't worry about it. We got you covered today with waiver targets all around the horn right now.
It's about that time.
Stoned on Sports.
How you doing, everybody? This is Stoned on Sports Fantasy Baseball Waiver Wire Edition. Yes, you will see we've got a little bit different background for me today. I am on the road, but still devoted to all of you and happy to be here, just like my awesome co-host Kyle is. Kyle, how's it going, buddy?
Doing good. Loving that Flint Vehicle City picture in the background. Way to represent where we came from. Waivers. We always tinker with waivers a little bit on Thursdays. We only usually talk about a handful, 4 or 5, but we got 12 for you tonight. And I'm excited to talk about them as well. Please remember to give us that like and subscribe if you like our content. We would really appreciate it. Let's get into it, eh?
Yes, sir.
First guy. So we're starting around, like Matt said, around the horn here. We're starting at the backstop. This is going to be catcher Logan O'Hoppe with the Angels. Currently 43% owned on Yahoo. He was fantasy catcher number 8 in the month of May, where he hit 5 dingers. On the season in 50 games, he's got 43 hits, 6 doubles, a triple, 7 homers, 26 RBIs, and 22 runs. He's slashing 250, 309, 415 with a 724 OPS. Strikeout rate is below average at 25.5, and he is 1% worse than last year. Walk rate 6.8. He's below average at that. You'd like to see that a little higher. His BABIP's above average slightly by 10, 12 points at 308. But I love that he bats 5th or 6th, pretty much all the time, where he can keep driving in some runs. He is very below average in the swing and miss department, especially versus the breaking and off speed pitches. But when he gets a hold of one, he crushes it. Hard hit rate, exit velo, barrels, and expected slugging are all in the 70th percentile or better. He's a fly ball hitter, specifically a fly ball pull hitter. He's got a pull percentage 12% higher than MLB averages. Not much in the contact area. He's below average in that respect, whether it's, in the strike zone or out of the zone when he chases pitches. He is taking a different approach at the plate this year as far as first pitch swings. He swings just 25% of the time. That's about 7% less than league average. Last year, he was almost 10% higher. So it looks like he's, like I said, taking a different approach, did some tinkerings, and he's waiting for his pitch. Dude is young, so he's learning all this stuff. And I think that's a good idea to try and, kind of wait for your pitch instead of just swinging away, especially with, your whiff rate not excellent. He's only played a total of 106, maybe 107 total MLB games in his career, including today. But if you need a catcher that can hit the ball hard, batting right there in the heart of the order, I think he's a great candidate. What do we got going in the chat here? So firing off there. We got Supersonic. Everybody's saying hi. We got Kelsey as well. How's it going, Kelsey? Glad you made it. Hopefully your fantasy team is doing well this week that you started mid-season. Love that. It's never too late to start, right, Matt?
Yeah, this is first matchup. It's
right.
Important to start off strong.
It sure is. So around the horn, we're going to go to first base. This guy, continues to tear up points leagues or tear up points after a brutal start to this season. Still widely available, but I don't expect he will be for much longer. He's had 2 hits in each of his last 3 games, and he's now 12 for 40 with 3 home runs, 6 RBIs over his last 10 games. Matt, tell us about Jeimer Candelario with the Reds.
Yeah, good old Jeimer Candelario. He's got that nice multi-position eligibility at first and third base. Pay no attention to what you see there on the screen. And look, he's a little over 40% owned. And you take a look at his season-long numbers, they're not the greatest. When I did this research there yesterday, yes, I realized he was dropping some dong yesterday, but coming into play, just a 229 average, a 301 on base. The OPS was just a little north of 700. had those home runs, a little over 20 RBIs. He is chipping in. The extra base hits, though, 13 doubles, scored 19 times. But he, like you said, has been damn solid the past couple weeks. The average up around 240, getting on base about 35% of the time. The OPS up over 800 with those 3 home runs, a few more doubles chipped in, some more runs. He's probably not somebody I'm going to add in 10-team leagues. I think he's better suited for 12-team leagues and larger. The StatCast overall looks kind of rough, and he is outperforming his expected stats. That in a vacuum isn't really something we want to get too concerned with, but just it's an indicator that, all right, maybe things may cool off a little bit. Look, we're worried about right now, not necessarily what he's going to do for 3 weeks from now. So let's scoop him up while you can. This guy is somebody, he's never really been someone that's hit the ball particularly hard, and we do see that reflected in his quality of contact, but the barrel rate isn't too bad at 6.8%. That's just a hair below average. He does have a 20 home run bat, and he gets there the easy way, right? He hits the ball in the air, and he's pulling the ball at career high rates. He's definitely going to benefit from his home park, especially as this weather warms up. And I think he got a taste of that 20 home run season, and he wants some more. His plate discipline is really kind of interesting. He's making contact at the lowest rate of his career, and really, he's only been around average, even at his best. Same with his zone contact, and he's been a little above average at times there. He's been more aggressive overall, swinging at a little over half of the pitches he's seen, and that's resulted in a higher chase rate, but it's also resulted in a higher zone swing rate, and those are the rips you want the guy taking. Swing at the ball that's in the zone that you can do something with. Still, there's a lot of swing and miss there. He's got a 26.8% strikeout rate, a whiff rate approaching 30%, and a swinging strike rate over 14.5%. The Reds have been slumping a bit as a team lately, but he's helping to kind of turn things around. He's got 7 games this upcoming week, but just 5 the week after. So you do want to keep that in mind. But overall, if you're looking for somebody who can fill a corner infield spot for you at either first or third, or if you've got a corner infield spot on your team, I think there is a good amount of upside there with somebody like Candelario and that Reds offense, especially as they get going.
Yeah, I love him too. I've been looking at him in a league where he's available, so I might grab him.
Yeah, makes sense. So moving along the infield over to the Keystone, Nick Gonzales, this dude has gone from top 10 pick in the MLB draft to a top 10 option at the position in just a few short years. Kyle, why don't you tell us what helped lead him to this point?
Well, he was hitting well in AAA, and he got the call up to the Pirates on May 10th. And since then, in 21 games, he is slashing 308, 360, slugging 500 with an 860 OPS, and he's mostly hitting fifth. And he's really taking advantage of it, too, with 3 homers, 16 RBIs, 11 runs scored, and a couple stolen bases. Add all these stats up, and he's the number 5 fantasy second baseman from May 10th to June 2nd. Strikeout rate is below average, a couple points there at 24-1, but he has improved that 4% year over year. Walk rate, on the other hand, is way below average at 5.7. You'd like to see that a lot higher, a little closer to 8-9%. Swing and miss, pretty bad. Okay, chase rate is not good at all at 28.7. Whiff rate, putrid, 37.6, not very good either. But he has some nice expected stats, way above average with his expected slugging, is a cool 518. So a little bit of room to improve, even though he's slugging at 500 right now. Dude hits the ball very hard. Hard hit rate and barrels are impressive. His hard hit rate's almost 46%. It's up 19% over last year. It's comping with a small sample size of just 35 games, but still an improvement. Barrel rate is also very good at 13.6. He's up 10% year over year. He has just above average exit velocity, but it's also improved over 4% over last season. He's a fly ball, line drive, pole hitter with both fly ball and line drive rates 10% higher or more than league average. And I think he's a bit too aggressive as well. His zone swing percentage is 76.3. That's pretty high. That's just the percentage of times the hitter swings at pitches inside the strike zone divided by the total number of pitches he sees in the zone. That's almost 10% higher than MLB average. And his first pitch swing percentage just drives that home, that aggressiveness even more. It's almost 12% higher than league average. Dude can run. His sprint speed's at 28.7. Top 13% of the league. Has just the 2 steals. Did a little bit of it in the minors. Not a huge steal guy, but I think he'd be good for another 6 to 7 steals if he's up the rest of the way. He's a young guy too, just like O'Hoppy's. He's just got 56 games of MLB experience, but in my opinion, he's the top middle infielder target for this week for waivers. All right, moving right along around the diamond here. We're at shortstop. Ceddane Rafaela. Matt. He's made some tweaks to his swing mechanics in attempt to get going at the plate, and the adjustments seem to have paying off so far. He's on pace. He's a rookie. He's on pace for 19 homers, 22 steals, and 76 runs scored with 90 RBIs. What can you tell us about him?
Well. So this guy is a little something else. You know, you look at his season-long stats, and at first glance, you'd think this Red Sox rookie is having a rough go of it. And to a certain degree, you'd be right. His batting average is just above the Mendoza line. The on-base isn't much better. The guy's only got a 618 OPS. Do like that he's dropped 7 dong and he's driven in 33. And there's some nice speed upside there, too. He's got 8 stolen bases. He's chipped in almost 10 doubles and a handful of triples as well. But over the past 2 weeks, this dude has been a top 10 option at either outfield or shortstop. And in some leagues, he's got second base eligibility, and he's been the best of the bunch. He's making much better quality of contact lately with a hard hit rate over 40%. Barrel rate's a little low at about 6.5, and the EV is on the lower side too, but not terrible. And that's helped him produce 20 runs, including 3 home runs here lately. Still, he's somebody that struggles to make contact, and he's connecting on just a hair over 70% of the time. A chase rate is bottom 5, as is his swinging strike rate. The whiff rate is over 32%. I mean, that's just terrible, right? All that said, he's managed to cut 4% off his strikeout rate from the time he spent in the show last season, and it's kind of amazing considering, the whiff and swinging strike are just so bad. This dude does not walk, right? He's only got 8 on the season. That's a 3.7% rate. It is what it is. As he learns to control the strike zone a little bit better, then maybe there's a chance that'll go up. The dude is hitting just 091 against off-speed pitches. Let me say that again, 091. That's less than 1 out of 10 for those of you that don't math too good. And against fastballs, it's just 206. So it's not that great. Because of those poor on-base skills, he is somebody who tends to hit lower in the order. He does have some nice hitters parks coming up, though. Obviously, home games there in Boston. He's got games in Philly and at Yankee Stadium. And this guy hits a ton of fly balls, and he uses the whole field. I would like to see him pull a little bit more to take advantage of the green monster there in Boston. This guy could be a doubles machine. He's a streaky hitter on a streaky offense, right? He is a very free swinger and incredibly aggressive, swinging at almost 59% of the pitches he sees. That's about 11 points above league average. but he does have excellent speed, and the stolen base upside is there if he can get on base. As we all know, you can't steal first base. That was the problem with those of you who have been playing fantasy baseball for a while. I'm sure you'll remember Billy Hamilton. Dude could run like the wind. He just couldn't get his ass on base. I don't think that's going to be the same situation here with Rafaela, but just considering the hot streak that he's been on, and he's owned in under 50% of leagues, he's definitely worth a roster spot on your team.
Excellent.
So next up, we're going to head on over to third base, and Tyler Freeman offers a combo of extra base power and speed combined with eligibility at 4 positions. What else makes him an intriguing ad, Kyle?
Well, first, we did put him in our third base because he is eligible at third base, but the guys mostly have been playing center field this year. But it's our show, and we can do whatever the fuck we want, right?
Yes.
So when he first started out there, he played pretty regularly, but he was batting in the bottom third of the order. Stephen Kwan got hurt last month, and then he started hitting in the leadoff spot, and he started landing on many fantasy radars, mine included. During the month of May, he was the 15th fantasy third baseman, or outfield. He was number 37 in fantasy, so pretty good stuff. In May, he had 22 hits, 7 doubles, a homer, 10 driven in, 17 runs scored, and 5 stolen bases is excellent. He slashed 239, 330, 348 in May. On the season, his strikeout rate is excellent, 14.2%. You love to see that. Walk rate is a little below average, but he did improve it 1.5% year over year. So isn't a power guy. All right. Average exit velo, hard hit barrels are very below average, but he has made improvements year over year on all 3 of those metrics. Does a nice job of not whiffing, just a whiff rate of 16.8. He's in the top 13% of hitters in the league. And many hitters usually whiff rates on fastballs are pretty high. Not Freeman, just 12.6 rate on them. And he's not fooled by off-speed pitches either. Whiff rate of 19% with a 292 batting average and a 458 slugging. This dude is a ground ball pull hitter, hitting ground balls at an almost 50% clip. You might ask why I want a guy that hits a lot of ground balls with less than average velocity. It's because of his excellent contact rates. They are pretty elite. They've really been doing the heavy lifting because of his lack of power. His contact in the zone, almost 89%, 7% higher than league average. And contact when he tries to chase some balls out of the zone, a whopping 68.5. That's huge. That's 10% higher than league average. Remember, good things tend to happen when you put the ball in play, right, Matt?
Absolutely.
So I think that should give him a solid floor in batting average. If you're looking for categories, he's expected at 247. So it's, pretty higher than his actual at 219. Provides that floor with his plate discipline. And he does have some upside via the high stolen base chances. He has had a lot of those this season. So indicating that I think you should buy into a potential breakout season, even with Kwan returning yesterday, I believe.
Something like that.
Yeah, something like that. All right, we're headed out to the deep outfield here. A name that might sound familiar to baseball fans with his time with the Yankees. He had an amazing season back in 2017, hitting 27 dongs and 92 RBIs with them. He's found a home in Oakland, and he's looking to establish himself as a slugger once more. Matt, will this continue for him, or are we just riding out the hot hand?
Well, I think both things can be true, and we're talking about Miguel Andujar of the Oakland Athletics. We don't have a whole lot to go on with him. He's only appeared in a handful of games, but there are few players in the show that are hotter than him right now. When I did this research yesterday, the dude was hitting 394 with a 382 on base percentage. I'll let you guys chew on that one for a minute. In OPS over 1,000, dropped a couple dongs. He'd driven in 12, even stole a base. these are the only games that he has played, just those 8 games. This guy hasn't played more than 50 games since 2018 when he was second in the Rookie of the Year voting. And Kyle, you referenced, he hit almost 30 home runs, drove in over 90. He also had 47 doubles that year.
Yeah.
And in points leagues, that's like money in the bank, right? One thing you'll notice right away, this guy does not walk. And when I say he doesn't walk, I mean he's not walked so far. He has 0 walks. And his career walk rate is just over 4%. But on the flip side, he's not striking out much either. He's only struck out twice across 34 plate appearances, and his career rate is just a little over 16%. Anything under 20%, and we're really happy. About a small sample size like this, we can't really draw many conclusions from it. It's not an actionable sample size, just like in previous seasons. Other than his rookie year, it's been a smattering of games here and there. So what the hell do we do now? He has a 98% contact rate and a 100% zone contact rate. I don't know much, and I'm not the smartest dude in the world, but I assure you those rates are coming down. But still, over the course of his career, he's shown that he has better than average contact skills. His hard contact, a little bit better than average. You can get him to swing and miss at pitches out of the zone, but the high contact skills even carry over there to his contact rate on pitches outside the zone. He hits ground balls at a pretty damn high rate, more than most. And the dude's launch angle is negative 1.6 degrees, right? So, yeah, that's a lot of ground balls there. But the dude uses the whole field. And the nice thing about him is he is in absolutely no danger of losing playing time out there in Oakland, right? As long as he continues, and he doesn't even have to play at this level. Obviously there's going to be some regression. But there's no reason that, looking over the course of the season, he can't have an average hovering around the, 280, 290 mark with some power, and not only home run power, but extra base power. That's a massive ass stadium there in Oakland. There is going to be limited run production opportunity, though, just because of the team context. He hits anywhere from second to fourth in the order, and I can't really envision that changing. But since he started playing, he's a number 6 outfielder.
Yeah.
That's pretty goddamn good for a dude who's free, who hasn't done dick in almost a decade, and Oakland pulls him off the scrap heap, and he just, showing off the S on his chest, or maybe it's an A for Andujar, Supremo, whatever. I don't know. But anyways, the dude's kicking ass and taking names. He's available in almost or a little over 60% of Yahoo leagues. With the way that so many people have underperformed this season and the way that injuries have been going, you can't tell me that there aren't more teams out there who can't use somebody like him.
Yeah. Yep. Even in a, less than optimal team context, but
oh, sure.
What you got? Another outfielder for us?
Yeah, we got another outfield option. Where in the hell is his little thing? There it is. Don't take that out of context either. The Atlanta Braves caught lightning in a bottle a couple of years ago with this dude, and they're hoping to do so again. And I am talking about outfielder Adam Duvall. He's another dude. When you look at the season-long stats, they're not looking too great. He's hitting just over 200. He's got an on-base under 300. There is some power there, but we're going to come back to that. He walks more than most. He also strikes out more than most. So he's got a decent eye at the plate, but he also has that power hitter profile. The last couple of weeks, though, are a completely different story. He's been the number 35 outfielder. And while that doesn't sound great on the surface, in a 12-team league that starts 3 outfielders, he's a legitimate starter. He's hit 3 home runs. He's produced another 12 runs. And he's still hitting for a low average. And even at his best, he's a 240, 250 hitter. And at this point in his career, I'd venture to say he's going to come in somewhere around probably 230, but he can have an on-base percentage 100 points higher because he'll take some walks. On the year, he's making contact at a career high 81.4% rate, with zone contact over 87%. And the quality of his contact is really nice. He's got a hard hit rate over 41%, a barrel rate at an outstanding 13%. The EV is a little low, but it's fine. It's nothing to worry about. And we're talking about a pull hitter that hits a shit ton of line drives and fly balls. And despite that, he's got a BABIP of just 236, a full 35 points below his career average. But let's get back to the power. All right. I said we were going to come back to that. So we're just 2 years removed from this dude hitting 38 home runs. And that was in like his age 32 or 33 season. And this is the kind of dude who can hit 10 home runs in a month without a problem. And if you've got somebody hitting 10 home runs in a month, that can help carry your team for a nice couple week stretch. He's no longer in a platoon down there. He was platooning with, who's that dickhead they traded for Kelenic. He was in a platoon with Kelenic, and he was on the short side of it. But since Acuna got hurt, his ass has been out there every day. He was hitting at the bottom of the order, but Atlanta's had to shake some things up, and he's been in the middle third for the past week or so. And look, Atlanta showed back in, I think it was 2021 when Acuna got hurt last time, that they're not afraid to shake things up, and they're not just going to wave the white flag and call it quits. The last time the Braves lost Acuna, Duvall stepped up for them in a huge way, and he's more than capable of doing it again. You do love the power upside that he's going to bring, and just understand, I probably like him better in points leagues than I do in roto leagues, just because of the power and extra base hit ability and the relatively low average. But being owned under 10%, that's wrong and should just not, it shouldn't be that way. Scoop his ass up.
Absolutely. It's his third time with Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. So we're going to take a quick break, answer a couple questions here in the chat. James Coffee's back in the chat.
What's up, James? Welcome back, buddy.
He was earlier, and I kind of skipped over it, and we went to the next player. So he's got a couple questions here. First one, category league, your thoughts on picking up Quan on waivers for his bench to boost batting average when necessary. He's back to leading off for the Guardians. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm on board with that, just depending on who you have to drop. I think it would be foolish to expect him to keep up the pace that he showed earlier in the year, but he is an outstanding overall hitter, and he's going to help carry your average for you.
Absolutely. Second question for James, is Bobby Miller worth holding on to in a roto league if Justin Steele is available on waivers?
That's a good one.
I
like Bobby Miller.
Yeah.
I think Steele is going to get more run support. They're a better offense there, but Bobby Miller is in the superior pitcher's park. Once things heat up there at Wrigley Field, the wind is no longer blowing in, it's blowing out, and that forces everybody to be in their A game. And you look at, what Justin Steele has done. Granted, it's a limited sample, but we'll even look at Imanaga, for example.
Right.
All that shit's coming down, man. The wind has been blowing in, and we've started to see the weather warm up around the country. Over the past couple of weeks, it's just going to get hotter. The ball flies farther in hot and humid air, and those fly ball outs that just went to the warning track are going to turn into home runs. That was a long-winded way to say absolutely nothing, James, and I apologize. I think it really comes down to what you're looking for more. If I remember right, you're in a roto league. So if you're looking, I think Steele has the better strikeout upside, and I think he's going to get more run support, but just given the environment itself, he could be more prone to blow-ups, whereas Bobby Miller isn't going to get as much run support, but he is in such a superior pitcher's park that allows him a lot more room for error. So it really comes down to really what areas you're looking to address on your team. But I think both of those are a fantastic option. And if you decide to pull the trigger on that, I would have no problem with it. It's a personal preference kind of thing.
Sure. Heck yeah. One more outfielder.
Yeah, we got another one. This Giants outfielder, started out as an injury replacement that is now staking his claim as an everyday player. What is Heliot, the fucker Ramos out in San Francisco done to secure that everyday
Yes,
spot?
that's the Spanish version there of Elliott there. Yeah. So he's just 4% owned on Yahoo. He was a 19th overall pick in the 2017 draft. He was up for a couple cups of coffee in 22 and 23, but he didn't do jack squat. But not this time. He's been a steady fantasy producer since he was called up on May 8th. From May 8th to yesterday, June 3rd, he was fantasy outfielder number 16 in 24 total games. He has 26 hits. You love that. More hits than games played. 4 doubles, 4 homers, 17 driven in, 10 runs, and 1 stolen base. When you look at this guy, you don't think he's much of a stolen base guy. He's slashing 295, on base of 361, slugging a 477 for an 838 OPS. So this is one of the bad things. His strikeout rate is very, very high. It's at 33%. He's not even a qualified hitter right now, but if he was, he'd be in the top 5% in the league. Top 10%, definitely. Walk rate is 9.3. That's above average. I like to see that. And oh God, does this guy smash baseballs with gusto, primarily hitting anywhere from 5 to 8 in the lineup. I mentioned he's not a qualified hitter. If he was, he'd be in the top 10% in hard hit rate, average exit velo, bat speed, and barrel rate. His hard hit rate is 55.4. That's almost 20% higher than league average. That puts him with other hard hitters like Marcelo Zuna, William Contreras, to think of a couple that are right around the mid 50s. I really like that. I like how his chase rate is above average at 27.1. It's kind of shocking, especially someone with a 33% strikeout rate. But he does whiff a ton. Okay. So not everything can be perfect. He's at 31.7. That's very below average. Another young guy seems to be some of the theme. Well, not Duvall, but seems to be a theme today. We're talking about a lot of younger guys. He's 24. And like many other young hitter, he is totally fooled on breaking and off-speed pitches with riff rates of 35% or more on both types of those pitches. Hits above average ground balls, fly balls. He's not much of a pull hitter. Right now, he's just pulling 21% of the time. That's really, really low for somebody, a power slugger like him. That's 16% lower than league average. He's a straightaway guy. 3 of his 4 home runs, 3 of his 4 doubles were all to straightaway center field. So he was fairly steady there in left field when Conforto was out with his hamstring injury. He's back, but he's poised to take over right field. I mean, you want Ramos or somebody like Mike Yastrzemski with an OPS of, I don't know, it's like 400 or 500 this season. I think he can easily take that job away from him. I think they're going to keep him up for the rest of the season. I really do. I think they need to find out if he can become an everyday player, and he needs to get the at-bats to do so. I think he's probably better left for deeper leagues. He does have some, 12-team appeal, but that high strikeout rate of that 33%, it's concerning for a lot of fantasy managers when you're looking for consistent production. But, he's just 4% owned. You're in need of an outfield bat. He's been raking. You could do worse.
Rakins.
Let's see. All right. Pitchers time, right? Matt's favorite position, specifically starting pitchers. This guy's had a nice story the last month here. In May, he's pitched 33 innings, just allowed 7 earned, with just 5 walks and 27 strikeouts. In fact, if it wasn't for the 4 runs he allowed in his most recent start this weekend, he'd have 6 consecutive quality starts. What can this 24-year-old pitcher do for you in fantasy, Matt?
Well, we are talking specifically about Ryan Weathers of the Miami Marlins. Look at just those flowing locks right there.
Yes.
And it makes me a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie. Look, this dude is quietly putting together a very nice season, and it's almost criminal that he's just 35% owned. And I certainly understand, look, Miami, it's not like they score runs in bunches, right? But that is a hell of a park to pitch in. across 12 starts, he's 3-5, but with an ERA under 3.5 and 64 strikeouts, just 20 walks in 68 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's either really vengeful or maybe he struggles with his control at times because he leads a league with 8 hit batters. Maybe he gets pissed at the other pitchers throwing at his guys and he's there to back him up. But since May 3rd, he is the number 17 starting pitcher, despite getting just 1 win in that time frame, which is absolutely fantastic. And it makes me wonder, like, how in the hell is he doing it? Well, we're going to start with his elite ground ball rate at just over 52%. There's some solid swing and miss there and strikeout upside. He's striking out just under a dude an inning. But since May 3rd, in those 6 starts, he's 1-3, yes, which is no bueno, but he's got 38 strikeouts, just 5 walks, and 39 innings pitched. And in that time, the ground ball rate is even higher at 57%. That 3.41 ERA, it's backed up by a 3.79 expected ERA and a 3.74 xFIP. So, it's not just bullshit and smoke and mirrors. Like I said, he's striking out around a dude an inning. It's 8.5 K per 9, which is fine. The 22% strikeout rate is fine. He's got a nice, healthy 11.2% swinging strike rate and a 26.7% whiff rate. The chase rate's a little below average, but, it's completely acceptable. He's really excelled at limiting hard contact. His hard hit rate, barrel rate, and exit velocity are all well better than average. And looking at his overall contact, that's also a little bit better than average, both in and out of the zone. This dude is a legit 4-pitch pitcher. And I know we've not talked about this in a minute, but he's got that 10-mile-an-hour delta between his fastball and changeup. And for those of you that are new to watching us here at Stone Down Sports Fantasy Baseball, the reason we want that difference between the fastball and the changeup, and we look for 10 miles an hour, and that's kind of the key number, is because you can't sit on one pitch and adjust to another when you have that big of a difference in velocity. His changeup has been fantastic, just a 174 batting average against and a 40% whiff rate. His sweeper, even better. Wow. A 132 average against and a 55% whiff rate, and a called plus swinging strikes rate of 37.3%, and that's in the 91st percentile. This dude should have plenty of innings left this season as well. Run support could be an issue, and really the way I look at pretty much all of these Marlins starters is, at worst, they're a streamer when they're at home. But when you have guys like Weathers who have that strikeout upside, and when I talk about strikeout upside, I mean specifically, I'm not looking for you to go out there and strike out 10 or 11 guys, but can you get a strikeout when you need one? When you really need that strikeout, can you get it? And this dude absolutely can. But that's not the last pitcher we're going to talk about. We got some more of them here.
Some
more. Guardians pitcher Ben Lively has started 9 games and has yet to allow more than 3 earned runs in any of those starts. What's been his success?
I think it's because he went to Cleveland. Because he's
said no one ever.
Right. He's pretty much been a middling pitcher through most of his career, but that's starting to become a pitcher's haver there in Cleveland. And look at that. He's having probably his best season. Over the weekend, he just won his career best 4th consecutive start. From May 1st to June 3rd, he is fantasy starting pitcher number 32. That's pretty good considering you got, 30 teams, 5 starting pitchers each. You do the math, that's still pretty good. On the season, 9 starts. He's 5-2 in 50 2/3 innings. It's got 3 quality starts, an ERA of 2.84 with a 1.16 whip. The FIP and xFIP, they're both around 4, so there could be some regression there because right now he's relying on a little bit of luck and some defense helping him out. Strikeout rate 23.3, just above average. I like that. And walk rate 7.4, also above average. All right. Now for some, bad, right? Gets hit hard, okay? Hard hit, barrels, exit velo, all in the bottom third of pitchers in the league. And this season, he's given up a lot of fly balls, 11% more than league average. He has allowed 7 home runs in his 50 innings. It's a 1.24 home runs per 9, a bit higher than you'd like to see. You'd like to keep a rate around 1, but not horrible. He's got he throws a lot of pitches. He's got a 6-pitch Mitch. He throws 6 pitches, okay? But throws the 4-seamer and the sinker the most. And it's really surprising with him throwing sinkers 30-40% of the time that his ground ball rate is not better. It's 13% lower than the rest of the league. Sinker ballers are usually pretty good ground baller pitchers, so this is a little outlier for him. He does allow a higher than average amount of contact, whether it's in, out of the zone, wherever. Matt mentioned about the hasn't allowed the 3 earned runs in any start, and he's only gone less than 5 innings just once. I think his ability to maintain that decent strikeout rate, he's an 8.3 K per 9 alongside a solid 313 strikeout to walk ratio. I think that adds to his fantasy appeal, especially in leagues if you're in roto that value pitching precision and efficiency. While his FIP suggests some regression, like I said, I think his consistent performance and his ability to secure wins should keep him rostered in really all fantasy formats. The run support in Cleveland, it's just freaking fantastic. They're 4th in runs. I think they're at 300 runs already, or 299, right around there. Pitchers perform well in Cleveland all the time. Right now, I'm not doubting Lively until he gives us a reason to do so. I think he's a great pickup this week.
Yeah, and Cleveland is somebody, or I guess an organization who's really always done well. We'll say over the past 10 to 15 years at developing starting pitching.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, and that's the damn good ballpark for limiting home runs too.
Sure is.
Who's next?
A closer. We never talk about closers.
No, we don't. Rectify that shit.
All right. No lead in for me. Okay, doing it on my own. All right. Yimi Garcia is going to be taking over the closer role here while Jordan Romano is out on the IL. He's 43% owned on Yahoo. And Romano's out with an elbow injury. So I think Garcia should be the man in Toronto for now. If you're in need of saves, he's a popular target this week, over the next 15 days, really. He's appeared in 22 games so far. He's 1-0, picked up a win there, 3 saves and 23 innings pitched. Strikeout rate, freaking amazing. 33.7. That's almost 12 strikeouts per 9 innings. And that 33.7, it was 5% worse than last year. So he's even better this year. Walk rate is 8.1. He's slightly below average, but much better than last year as well. Let's see. He's among one of the best pitchers in expected stats. Expected ERA of 188, batting average of 161, and his xWOB was 221. He's in the top 1% of all pitchers. He's excellent at getting batters to swing and miss. Chase and whiff rates are both in the top 5th of all pitchers. His fastball alone has a whiff rate of 36.8, and his changeup that he throws exclusively just to left-handed batters to drive them crazy has a 50% whiff rate. That's just amazing. I like how his 4-seam fastball, it's at 96.7 miles per hour, and his sinker is almost at 96. They're both at their highest velocity in any year of his career. I think this is his 9th year. Hard hit rate is above average, places him in the 75th percentile. However, the exit velo and barrel rate are both slightly below average. Does allow less than average contact in the zone, out of the zone. Doesn't matter. He fools hitters with some great breaking stuff. I like that he's been more aggressive in early counts with a 67.5 first pitch strike rate this season, being the best of any of his 9 seasons in the MLB so far. And his success, if you want to go back from June of last season, he has posted a 2.38 ERA, 0.95 whip with a 30.6 strikeout rate, all those ranking among the top 18 qualified relievers in the last calendar year. It's pretty good. So an important note for this scenario is this is Romano's 2nd trip to the IL for right elbow inflammation and his 3rd since last All-Star break of last season. Now you got this recurrence again. I think that's some heightens concerns for Romano's rest of 2024. I think there's a chance Chad Green might get some work as the closer too. I'm not going to ignore Green. He did fill in for Romano once before, but if you only have one, I put the bid on Garcia and set Green as a contingency pick. But I think Romano's probably going to be out a little bit longer than the 15. I think Garcia is a great pickup. He might be your closer for the next month or longer.
Very possible. He's not a bad option.
Right. Okay. Anything popping off in the chat of questions? Anything?
Nah, Kelsey's talking all that shit.
Kyle is illiterate, so he has to draw pictures. Well, thank you, Matt. All right. Okay. We got a deep league special for you here. We're giving you one extra position player. He was a popular breakout player late in drafts this year, but he looked like fool's gold to start the season. But then the calendar turned to May, and he's posted 5 multi-hit games, including a game with 4 hits on 17. If he keeps up this level of performance in June and beyond, can Colt Keith of the Tigers be a huge fantasy asset down the stretch, Matt?
You know what? It's a possibility. And I think you're being a bit generous calling him fool's gold because he looked like ass.
Yeah.
Just start the year.
I'm a Tigers fan. I was being nice.
Sure, but we got to be realistic. I don't know of anyone that's still in the show in the big leagues currently that got off to a worse start. On May 5th, play concludes. This dude's hitting 152 with a 227 on base, just a 394 OPS, hadn't dropped any dong anywhere, right? He'd only driven in 8 and scored 5. There was something, I don't know. There was some positives to it. He was only striking out at a 17% rate, which is damn good for a rookie. He was drawing walks too, and he was batting the bottom half of the order. The quality of contact wasn't great, just a 29% hard hit rate. EV was at 88, which is low, but it's not atrocious. But since May 6th, this dude flipped the switch, batting over 300, getting on base 35% of the time, and OPS just under 800, dropped a couple dong, drove in 11. The strikeouts did bump up a bit, and the walks did dip, right? But he increased his hard hit rate by 10 points. And he got bumped up in the order. He's been batting 5th pretty much constantly now for the past couple of weeks. Overall in the season, contact numbers look good, above average, and overall contact, his zone contact rates over 90%. Swinging strike rate and whiff rate are both better than average. His chase rate is a little high, but he's a younger player. I expect it to improve as he gets more exposure to big league pitching, and he's got a pretty solid hit tool to begin with. He's on the strong side of a platoon with Andy Ibanez, but he's had a couple starts versus lefties. Don't count on it very often. It's more of an emergency kind of thing. Like most young hitters, he struggles with breaking and off-speed pitches, and they've given him some issues, but he's shown he can handle big league heat. And that's the first thing you got to be able to do. If you can't hit fastball, you ain't going nowhere. He is a bit of a pull hitter, but he's not afraid to use the whole field. Both of his home runs have come to the pull side. There's more power in his bat than what we've seen. And I think as the weather warms up, we're going to see some more of that. I wouldn't be shocked at all if he finished with somewhere around 12 to 15 home runs. There is a caveat. The dude plays his home games in Comerica Park. That is not a hitter's paradise, but they play plenty of games on the road. And we were talking earlier, the weather heats up, it gets hotter, it gets more humid, the ball travels better. He's got it. I can't remember. I think it's 70 grade raw power. His game power, I think, is a 50 grade. And for those of you guys that don't know the difference, raw power is how far can you hit the ball, and game power is how many home runs are you going to hit. This dude is just 22 years old. And when you think about all the rookies that were hyped coming into the season, the Jackson Hollidays, the Evan Carters, the Wyatt Langfords, I ain't seen any of them put up a 300 average over the course of a month yet this year. Shit, Wyatt Langford got hurt. Evan Carter has his own struggles. Jackson Holiday got his ass booted back down to Norfolk after he came up to the show and just shit the bed. Now, is Colt Keith going to go win you your league? Absolutely not. But with that second base, third base eligibility, for those of you that have leagues that or play in leagues that have that middle infield or corner infield spot, he can give you some good versatility. You do need to pay attention to the upcoming schedules, again, because of the platoon there. But if you see Detroit has a run of 5 out of 6 games against righties or 6 out of 7, something like that, you bet your ass he's going to be out there on the field. And he's shown you over the past 30 days that when he's out there, he can produce.
Absolutely. I'm glad he's kind of turned things around there in Detroit.
I mean, there was nowhere to go but up.
That's true.
So,
I mean, I got high aspirations for that fella, and I'd like to see him producing for the Tigers for the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years.
Yeah. So if you had to pick one of the pitchers today to add to your team, you got an empty slot. Who are you taking?
I would take Garcia for sure. I could use a closer. On one of my leagues, I got Seawald in the other, and the other one I've been kind of either plugging in a starting pitcher who's dual eligible for an extra start, or I have Andres Munoz as well, and I've been using a little bit as well. But I could use Garcia for some closing depth for sure. What about you?
I would go with Weathers just because of that home ballpark. Again, there's not going to be a whole lot of run support there, but he can get you some strikeouts. He keeps the ball in the yard, and just the outstanding ground ball rate. You don't see many inside the park home runs. He's at worst a streaming option when he's at home. And I mean at absolute worst. Right. If I had a roster spot right now, or if I needed a pitcher, I'd be going to the wire looking for him, because I doubt there are many more. There's many dudes available who are better than he is, at least in what he's shown over this first, we'll call it, 8-9 weeks of the season.
Absolutely. So I know the only reason that Supersonic Loud Boy Enterprises has possibly joined the live chat today is because he could not wait to hear us talk about the update for the Listener League standings. I'll throw them on the screen here. Actually, let me take that banner off because it's going to be in the way. Supersonic has moved up to first place by himself at 6-3. Congrats, dude. You're doing it a different way than I've ever done it, and it's working for you. So, hey, congrats, dude. I know that you have mentioned in the past you listened to us and it has helped you. So I like it. It's good that you're in first. I'm kind of mad that I finally fell out of first. You dislodged me, but congrats, man. Awesome job.
See, and I'm starting my climb back to relevancy in this league. You got to remember that
3 and 6 in the bottom and 10.
Hey, look, dude, the journey to the playoffs begins with a single win, which is what I got last week.
Hey, I mean, y'all out there, the 18 people with us, you want to take advice from the guy in second, or you want to take the advice from the guy in 10th? Yeah, I know what I would do. Just saying.
Talk all that shit. Never won a league in your life.
Yep. So I know Dubow's still hanging in there. It's still a tight race. I mean, and you could easily turn things around and go on a run. And I know that's how fantasy baseball goes. It's just how it goes.
Yeah.
So.
Well, Kelsey dropped her team name, the Lollygaggers.
All righty. Heck yeah. Well,
congrats, Loud Boy. Proud of you.
Lollygag your way to the waiver wire and pick up one of these outfielders we just talked about, Kelsey. So, is the trash talk heating up? I mean, that's probably a show for another time.
That started about 30 years ago.
Right. Getting hot in here, Supersonic says. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us tonight. Really appreciate a lot of you guys in the chat today. 18 watching us. I love it. Drop a comment there on which player you're adding this week. And if you agree or disagree on our picks today, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, we have our sister channel, another YouTube channel, Stoned on Sports Fantasy Football. Check that out. We got a couple off-season videos on there already in the last couple weeks. Matt, we'll see you solo for Thursday night at 7 for 2 start pitchers for week 12. I am going to be out of pocket here. I'll be moving some family across the country, so was unavoidable. So anything else you want to add, bud?
No, I am good. Appreciate everybody coming to hang out with us. You guys are the reason this show is so fun and the reason that we do it. Don't be shy in the chat. You know, Kyle's an idiot, but he doesn't bite. And, you know,
Right.
we'll get you the best advice we can give you.
Absolutely. Have a great evening, everyone. Stay stoned.
See ya.